everybody to another exciting episode of Command Beacon. Here on the show, we talk about exciting EDH and all the efforts that the deck designer has put into them, the efforts and the lessons they've learned, and maybe share some of their secret ninja technology with you guys and share what they love so much about their decks. And today's guest is Ivan. Ivan, how are you doing today?
Doing well.
He is doing a little bit even better than just well. Today is not only a special day for the podcast because, another episode gets released. Woo! But also, today is Ivan's 21st birthday. Happy birthday, Ivan.
Thank you, Jensen.
Oh, clapping in the back. Excellent. And, glad you can make some time out of your busy schedule and come on to the show. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into it. For you guys who are listening in for the first time, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. And if you have any questions for either me or Ivan, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll do the best at getting back to you guys as fast as we possibly can. Instead of talking about your commander today, let's brag about it today. Who is your commander, Ivan?
My commander is Brago, King Eternal.
And for those of you at home, what does this card do?
He is a 4-drop blue-white flyer. When he deals combat damage to a player, exile any number of non-land permanents you control, and then return it to the battlefield.
This is a iconic Flicker general. Has a lot of applications with many different card types, permanent types. And wow, I can see that Ivan has laid a bunch out here on the table to go through. But before I get to that, how did you first discover Brago as your commander?
Alright, so this blue-white deck, Brago, started originally as Guafa Hazid. He's a tier 5 general, just absolutely terrible.
One day I'm gonna make this deck just so that I can say the name over and over again.
But yeah, I started as him, as a joke deck, and then I started playing it, and it was sort of fun, playing with permanents and everything. And then I started looking through my binders to see if there was anything I could add, make it a little bit better. And that's when I came across Brago, and I finally read the card, and it was sitting right next to a Ring of 3 Wishes, and I made the connection of, hey, flickering permanence is kind of broken. So that's when I changed the general to him, and then I started building it.
Adding on to the powerful ETB abilities in white and blue. Yeah, for sure. And I can see that you have quite a lot laying out here in front of you. Why don't you walk us through some of your favorite things to Flicker and some of the most powerful synergies in the deck?
Alright, so some of the most powerful cards to Flicker in the deck are the Planeswalkers themselves. The big 5 that we have, or actually the only 5 that we have, are Karn Liberated, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Teferi Temporal Archmage, Tezzeret the Seeker, and Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Flickering a Planeswalker, so you can use the ability the first main phase, and then after Brago deals combat damage to the player, you can exile them and return them to the battlefield, and then use their ability a second time, whichever one you choose. Which is
a very powerful effect. And for those of you who have listened to the very first episode where I invited Chris onto the show, where I talk about Planeswalkers and my opinion on them, is that I evaluate most of the Planeswalkers in the meta by their negative ability. So in a situation like this, where Ivan can constantly Flicker and use their neg twice a turn, that just seems way too absurd for me. And I'm sure that gets you insane on value.
Yes, definitely. And in Jace's case, the 0. But drawing 3 cards, everybody knows Jace the Mind Sculptor. He's just good no matter what.
Yeah, fair enough. It's been around for some time now.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, in this deck, I never used Tezzeret the Seeker's plus ability. Untapping the 2 artifacts is completely useless in a deck where the commander returns them to the battlefield. Right, you Flicker them anyways. Right. I use his negative X ability to search out artifacts that will combo with Brago, like Stranic Resonator. Stranic Resonator and basically any mana rock that taps for an extra 2 mana will go infinite Flickers with Brago.
Opens up a lot of plays here. Now, since we're talking about artifacts, what are some of the powerful artifacts you're running in this deck?
Alright, so for artifacts so far right now, the most powerful one is Stranic Resonator. We have the Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves, the typical ones. And then mana rocks like Mana Crypt, Gilded Lotus, we have Mana Vault, Grim Monolith. The really quick mana rocks.
Yep. And I see that you're running Hedron Archive here as well. this is a card that has made its way into a lot of the local EDH decks, and I think the card is very, very good.
Well, the card is very good because it plays for 4 mana, which is a little expensive if you want to have a fast combo deck, but it taps for the 2 colorless mana that you want, and you can also sacrifice it to draw 2 cards in the tight spot.
In your case, you can tap it for 2, then attack with Brago, bounce it, and attack for another 2. Tap for another 2 mana. So it's kind of like essentially free. And you are also running Winter Orb.
Yes, Winter Orb is in the deck because of Great Whale, Peregrine Drake, and Talon. Winter Orb, you guys know in Derevi decks, it's a lockdown, like, you're never going to win the game against. In this deck, it doesn't lock like that quite the same. If I don't have one of the 3 pieces, I'm not untapping my lands any faster than you guys are. But if I do, I can use them, flicker the creature, and they'll come back in and untap the lands.
Essentially giving you that powerful effect, but repeatable.
Putting me turns and turns ahead of my opponents.
For those of you guys who have listened the last episode with Kevin and his Carador deck tech, this essentially serves as the Yusei, the Morning Star. But it takes one more card, but it's also more versatile because Winter Orb can come down extremely early in the game and still be very, very effective in that manner.
It can even come down turn 1 with Soul Ring or Mana Crypt.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that we talk about some of the artifacts, let's go to enchantment real quick. What are some of the cool enchantment to flicker with your brother?
All right, so definitely 1 or 2 of the coolest. We'll start with those.
I remember.
Light Form and Cloud Form.
Yep.
They're 3 mana enchantments. When they enter the battlefield, they become an Aura enchantment, enchanting a card from the top of your library. So you manifest it, and it becomes an enchantment. The Light Form gives it flying and lifelink, and the Cloud Form gives it flying and hexproof. So obviously the better one. But manifesting a card is really, really good in Brago because when he deals combat damage to the player, you can exile the manifested card and return it to the battlefield face up. Mm-hmm. So essentially, you can manifest an Ugin, flip it face up, and you have a free Ugin.
Mm-hmm. And this kind of effect becomes even more abusable if you are running things like Scroll Rack or Sensei's Top or anything that lets you manipulate the top of your library.
Yes, Scroll Rack is also very good with land tax. I'm sure you all know about that combo.
That, and even when you just activate Jace the Mind Sculptor's 0 ability, you can manipulate in that sense. Let's talk about this card. I feel both excited and salty.
All right.
Whenever I look at this foil.
The card is Reality Acid. This is one of the meanest cards in Brago, and in any Brago deck it goes in, no matter what. It's a 3 mana enchant a permanent, vanishing 3. So on your upkeep, you remove a vanishing counter. Once it hits 0, it leaves play. But the last line of text on Reality Acid says, when Reality Acid leaves play, enchanted permanent's controller sacrifices it.
Yeah. And guys, notice, it just says enchanted permanent, not enchanted non-land permanent. And the reason why I'm so salty about this is because a long time ago I played a game where I only had 2 lands for I don't know how many turns. And when it was time to pull the trigger, Ivan goes, I'm going to go ahead and cast Reality Shift on one of your 2 lands that tap for multiple mana. And proceed to, I think you blink it like the same turn or something. Effectively leave me with 1 land. I'm like,
Yeah, Reality Acid is definitely a main phase 1 play. And if you really want to be mean about it, you can put it on a land. Otherwise, it's also very good on creatures, specifically indestructible creatures, because they sacrifice rather than destroy.
I suppose, yeah, sacrifice is a big deal.
Yes, it is a very big deal. It is one of the hardest things to get around in EDH is indestructible.
I really like the fact that you are showcasing cards that don't usually get played in EDH. I think Reality Acid is just like 10 out of 10 in that deck.
Yeah. It's only this deck. There aren't very many decks that can play it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now let's go to your creatures real quick. You have a roster of powerful tools that allows you to do all sort of things while you're flicking.
Alright, well we already talked about the the Peregrine Drake, the Palinchron, and the Great Whale.
Synergy with Winter Orb there.
Synergy with Winter Orb, and they also go infinite mana with Deadeye Navigator.
Yeah.
Or Eldrazi Displacer.
Repeatable
Obviously,
effect is
being
always
able
good
to-
effect, guys.
Being able to cast any card in your hand. If you go with infinite mana, you can flicker Jace's Mindseeker.
Let's
as many
talk about
times as
this
you
card
want.
real quick, Evan, because Jace's Mindseeker is not a card that makes you into a lot of commander decks.
It was actually a tight fit the first time I was building this before I was actually able to play with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, is this good or not? But it's a 6-drop 4/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent puts the top 5 cards in their library into their graveyard. You can cast an instant or sorcery from among those cards without paying its mana cost. So I was really iffy on it to start with, but then I played it, and being able to take an extra turn for free, it found its way in, and it's stayed ever since.
Yeah.
The card's too good.
I agree. And from my perspective, a lot of the EDH decks, like the top tiered ones that I've played against or with, they don't run a whole lot of creatures. But what they have are planeswalkers, instant, and sorceries. So playing Jace Mindseeker and being able to blink it over and over and potentially like net something like a Tooth and Nail, right? Instant or sorcery, right?
Instant or sorcery.
Or
yes.
Armageddon or anything kind of like that is potentially game ending. The better your opponent's deck are, most of the time, the better this card and at the worst is never a bad card because you are getting repeatable value. So I really like that. And I also see that over here you have a number of clone effects.
Yes. So I've taken 5 of my favorite clones in Magic altogether, and I put them in this deck. We have Sakashima the Imposter, Phyrexian Metamorph, Giganoplasm, Stunt Double, and Clever Impersonator. We can go through why all of them are good, but in this deck, copying any creature with an enter the battlefield effect is just good. Clever Impersonator can hit artifacts, enchantments, creatures, any permanent that's not a land.
Yeah.
One of the best ones. Phyrexian Metamorph is right behind it with artifacts and creatures. And then the third best one in this deck is Sakashima, because being able to get a second Brago, because it keeps the name Sakashima, is insane.
I see that. Yeah, you are certainly running some of the most interesting and most reliable clone effects in Magic the Gathering.
People were confused about Giganoplasm for the most part. Like, I can't think of any other clones off the top of my head right now, but all it is a 4-drop clone, enters the battlefield as any creature, but you can pay X to make its base power and toughness XX. That's only good if you have a lot of mana or if you have the infinite mana combo.
Yeah.
He has as much power as you want him to have. He could have 10 million power if you want.
Yep, another game-ending clone effect for sure. Now that I see that besides all of these cards that you have just went through, you also have a roster of tools that controls the board at an early stage, whether in the sense of protecting your Brago, or finding the key cards of the deck, or slowing your opponent down. Do you mind talking about some of those?
Alright, well, first, protecting Brago. Brago is one of the most important pieces of the deck. Without him, it's a little bit tougher to win. I mean, it's still possible because you have combos outside of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Spellskite does it the best. It changes the target of just about any spell that could target Brago to itself.
Yep.
And that's very, very powerful. And it can also be returned with Sun Titan, entering the battlefield or attacking, which is very powerful. Yeah, synergy for days. Cards that control the tempo are cards like Reflector Mage or Mana War, where they return creatures to their opponent's hand, and I can reuse them with Brago, returning multiple creatures a turn to their own hands.
Oh, sure.
Slowing them down by far. Recruiter the Guard is a new addition with Conspiracy 2, the release of Conspiracy 2.
A lot of us are very excited about this card.
It's actually not super amazing in my deck. It only searches out, I think I counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures in the entire deck. That's it.
That's not bad.
But 5 of the creatures are clones.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, I could go Recruiter of the Guard, find a clone.
Yeah.
Clone Recruiter of the Guard, find another clone. Continuously finding these clones, and then if I have another creature that I would like to copy, I can just flicker them with Brago, and copy any other creature.
I like any tutor that's able to look up at least 3 key cards in your deck. And I think a card that enables you to tutor for 9 cards, potentially even more, is a solid pick.
Yes, definitely. It was really close to not making it though. Really close.
What was the other competitor?
I can't even remember off the top of my head. There are 2 new cards that I am hoping to put into this deck.
Oh,
for sure.
Let's talk about them.
From this new set of Kaladesh, we basically get a new Muldrifter. It doesn't evoke itself, but it's in blue-white.
It gains you 2 life, doesn't it?
It gains you 2 life, and it draws you 2 cards.
Costs a little more, though.
No, it is 5 mana.
Right,
it's
but
3, a white and a blue. You cannot evoke it,
right,
which is, a little bit slower, but it's still quite powerful. I think both will end up making the deck, both Muldrifter and...
repeatable draw effect is fairly good.
Yes. And then the second card, the one I've been waiting so long for, is Panharmonicon. The card that it's a 4 mana artifact that says creatures or artifacts entering the battlefield that cause an ability of a permanent you control to trigger, triggers again.
I was gonna ask that before this podcast started. Yeah. So this is the double ETB effect artifact.
Yes, so bouncing a Reflector Mage, or returning flickering a Reflector Mage with Brago, returning it to the battlefield with that card out, will make Reflector Mage trigger twice, bouncing 2 of their creatures to their owner's hand.
That's a huge accelerator for this kind of decks.
As far as Peregrine Drake, Great Will, or Palinchron, their abilities will trigger twice, so I can untap 7 lands in the case of Great Will and Palinchron, float 7 mana, and then untap 7 more lands again.
Correct.
So it's just very, very powerful. Again, Jace's Mindseeker will trigger twice, Sun Titan, Recruiter the Guards, Phyrexian, Ingester, Duplicant, all of them very powerful.
I actually just thought of something that I would like to ask you, since we're talking about the cards that potentially will make it to the deck from Kaladesh. How do you feel about the new Bolvin Planeswalker, the white-blue one? The reason why I'm asking is you said the 5 mana creature that gain 2 life and draw how many cards? 2 cards is most likely going to be making to the deck. The Planeswalker costs 4 mana.
Yes, the Planeswalker does cost 4 mana. His minus ability is draw 1 card, gain 1 life, and that's not terrible. But if I were to add another Planeswalker to the deck, I think I would go old school and add Tamiyo, the Moonsage, the original Tamiyo.
Sure.
Overall, she will draw more cards than Dovin will. And
she has a little bit more control edge to her.
She does have a little bit more of a control edge. She is 1 more mana, but consistently she will be better. Dovin Bond's plus ability is probably one of the better plus abilities I've seen on a Planeswalker. They haven't really done that before, where a Planeswalker can stop a creature from activating its activated abilities.
Yep.
Which shuts down cards like Deadeye Navigator, Eldrazi Displacer.
This has came up in one of our previous conversations, is that I feel like Wizard have been trying to nail this plus ability for a while, and they've been messing around with it, and this is the first time where we'll feel truly right doing the +1.
I think so. And I think it might find its way into some kind of modern deck, because Spellskite is such a huge card in modern.
Right.
That, in modern Infect's biggest enemy is Spellskite, being able to redirect the pump spells to itself. If Dovin Bond comes out on turn 4, obviously he's a sideboard card, but if he comes out on turn 4 and says Spellskite can't activate its abilities, then the Infect will win.
Right. It certainly has a lot more multi-format applications, and even in EDH, he can potentially hit someone else. Spellskite in this case, Ivan's core Spellskite.
I believe he does only say creature though. So if you were able to hit a Planeswalker or an artifact or something like that, he would be much more.
He would be much more versatile. Yeah, absolutely.
I think for now he'll probably just see play in constructed formats like Standard and Modern. I don't think he'll see much in EDH beyond that, and I do not plan on adding him to it.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that opinion with us and telling us what your thoughts on the card are. So we kind of went through this a little bit before the podcast, but out of the different types of Magic players, what do you identify yourself as?
I'm more of a combo player, not so much control. I mean, in this Brago deck, I only have one counter spell, and
there aren't a whole lot of wrath effects or anything like that.
I have no wrath effects because I want my creatures in play. I don't want them in the graveyard. But the one counter spell, I want to talk about that quick because Jensen here is the reason I put that card in.
Okay, let's talk about this card real quick. Oh, I know exactly what this
Jensen's
is.
favorite commander to play by far is Maelstrom. He
Yes.
loves Maelstrom. And there is one counter spell that absolutely shuts it down. And it's called Summary Dismissal.
Yeah.
It not only exiles the spell on the stack, but it also counters all other triggered abilities and activated abilities. So his Cascade triggers from Maelstrom will be countered, and his Maelstrom will not hit the battlefield.
You know, you can potentially cast this at the wrong time and let me resolve one of my spells.
I could.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
I think the way to do it is definitely let him cast the Maelstrom.
yeah.
Cascade, trying to cast the first card, and then I cast Summary
Yeah,
Dismissal.
correct.
Exiling the spell, countering the other Cascade, and putting Maelstrom back.
Yeah, because casting Maelstrom will trigger the double cascade effect, and that's when you just shuts it down completely. I've yet to run against this card though in actual game. I would like to see it in action. I think it's kind of fun. It's defeating, but it's also fun at the same time. I can imagine a hand where I ramped out into Oblivion and try to recover my advantage, and you're just like, you know what, you're dismissed, Jensen. Go home. Let's just not play this game anymore. So, yeah, very, very cool. Now, from a combo player's perspective, who's been playing this deck for quite some time, do you have any secret technology, any master tips or tricks or lessons that you've learned that you want to share with the audience who might be potentially interested in this deck or this kind of Flicker style gameplay?
Alright, well, Brago itself is designed not to worry about what other players are doing, but to pose its own threats so that they may answer them. That's the way I designed my own deck. It doesn't have to be like that for you guys, for whoever is planning on making a Brago deck. But the way I built it is, like, if I put out a piece like Eldrazi Displacer, I'm giving them a chance to kill it before I play my Peregrine Drake and go infinite mana, playing the rest of my hand. I don't like to play both in one turn and just say I win the game. That's, like, I am a combo player and I will win the game eventually. But I like to give people a chance. And that's why I don't have so many counter spells and all that. I do have answers to their stuff, like Reality Acid, and I have active authority to exile artifacts and enchantments that would stop me from doing my game plan.
Absolutely. So, maybe even though that you might be interested in a heavy combo kind of deck like Brago, you also want to have the most fun out of it. And that may not necessarily be the fun that you get from countering everything your opponents are.
While countering everything your opponents are playing is fun, your opponents don't like it at all. They really don't. I played a game very recently against a Damia deck. Brago got countered 5 times. I just couldn't do anything, and it was no fun. I hate playing against decks like that, and I know people hate playing against decks like that, so I won't do it.
Sure. So, also, Ivan have mentioned this already, but identify the viable threats, knowing what threats to put out at the right time and how to protect them essentially will get your combo through every single time, and that is important to take home as people who are interested in trying out different kind of combo style and so on and so forth. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the show, Ivan. Thank you so much for making time out of your 21st birthday and come and talk about this awesome Flicker deck. And for those of you guys who are interested in checking out Ivan's deck list in full, I will be posting a link down below. If you have any questions for the choices that he's made for either me or him, please leave a comment down below. Once again, Planeswalkers, thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Command Beacon. And if you liked our content, smash that like button, click that subscribe button so you can be in touch and stay up with the latest releases of our episodes and checking out our new and exciting guests every single time. In the meanwhile, keep on exploring.